welcome to another Fiscal News.
This time and for this episode, we prepared for you the most important fiscal news from the 8 countries. So, stay tuned.
On January 1st, 2022, the French government launched a new platform, which was meant to reduce the administrative burden put on companies in France. The goal was to simplify the search for information and the completion of online procedures by companies instead of filing endless paper forms. As the platform has proven to be a great success, the French government is planning to upgrade the services it offers, and as of January 1st, 2023, this platform will become the one-stop shop for all businesses. This site will replace the 6 networks of business formality centers, CFE, and the Guichet Enterprises site. It will become the only channel available to companies to carry out their administrative procedures. No more printed receipts in France. According to the law of February 10, 2020, on the fight against waste and the circular economy, receipts in France will no longer be printed starting from January 1st, 2023. Receipts included in this decision are, among others, shopping with cash, card or vouchers, parking, and withdrawing money at ATMs. The retailer will have to, at the place of payment, display a notification that printing receipts are only possible at the request of the customer. The printing of receipts would remain mandatory at the request of the client and for the sales of products under warranty. Otherwise, receipts can be sent to customers' email addresses.
What happens in a case of loss of interconnection with My Data platform? In case of loss of interconnection with the digital platform My Data, the data of the issued accounting data are transmitted without delay with the restoration of the interconnection, with the indication loss of interconnection. The obliged entity must take all necessary measures to avoid a further loss of interconnection and as well prove to the authorities that the interconnection was not working properly at the time of unachieved transmission. In any case, the data are transmitted no later than 2 days from the deadline for their transmission.
Fiscal devices in Lithuania are also affected by the new changes. Some new changes have been introduced in fiscalization in Lithuania, and one of the fiscal requirements is an obligation that every cash register must be accompanied by the service book, also known as a technical passport. The law defines what are mandatory elements of this book, in which situations and performances must be captured in this book, in which format, etc. The technical passport of a cash register for new devices with a security module and/or virtual fiscalization cash register will be filled out electronically in IEKA, while the same requirements will remain for filling out the technical passport of a cash register with a fiscal block. That is, the paper version of the cash register technical passport will continue to be filled out. To summarize, new changes in fiscalization will affect technical passport, service book, in the term that this field will also be improved and modernized.
Poland is one of the countries that introduced VAT reduction in accordance with the European inflation VAT reduction. More precisely, the first reduction was introduced to be applied until 31st October 2022, but it will be extended until 31st December 2022. The extension until 31st December 2022 will be applied as follows: 8% fuel, diesel, 5% electricity and heating energy, and 0% foods, fertilizers, and gas. Postponement of usage of the cash register for the car wash industry. According to the draft regulation published by the Ministry of Finance, the obligation to use cash registers for the car washes, including the use of customer-operated devices, which accepts the payment in maintenance-free system in coins or banknotes or any other form non-cash, is postponed from October 1st, 2022 to April 1st, 2023. The Minister of Finance introduced this change in the draft ordinance of September 12, 2022. The postponement of the mandatory fiscalization deadline is mainly related to companies' problems with purchasing and installing fiscal devices.
Reporting transactions in Portugal have a new deadline. The Portuguese Parliament enacted 2022 budget law, which includes many tax reforms starting on January 1st, 2023. From fiscalization perspective, certain changes are introduced regarding sending transactions to tax authorities. More precisely, from January 1st, 2023, those businesses that communicate invoices to the Portuguese tax authority must do so by the 5th day of the following month. Let me remind you that this communication must be made by electronic data transmission in real time or by sending the SAFT file, invoicing application, produced by the certified invoicing software. Currently, the deadline for invoice communication is the 12th day of the following month. Also, it is important to note that the budget law extends the obligation to report transactions to non-resident entities that are VAT registered in Portugal. One more change in SAFT requirements in Portugal. Another requirement states that if no invoices or other transaction documents were issued in the previous month, the entrepreneur must also communicate this fact to the tax authority through the finance portal.
Implementation of DAC 7 into national legislation of EU countries. In an effort to suppress tax fraud in online sales, the EU adopted EU directive to improve administrative cooperation in the field of taxation between EU countries, so-called DAC 7. The directive directs platform operators to collect information about the sellers on the platform and the sales generated from it, and to report it to the responsible authority. At the same time, the individual EU member states are requested to exchange information automatically. EU member states should implement the DAC 7 directive into national legislation until January 1st, 2023. In principle, all operators of digital platforms are affected in the platform, allow sellers to contact potential buyers and carry out so-called relevant activities. This includes, in particular, the rental of real estate, the rental of any means of transport, the provision of personal services, and the sale of goods. Online portals that only enable the processing of payments, the listing of or forwarding of users, or the placement of advertising are not affected by the reporting obligation. The platform operators must report the sales and activities achieved by each seller for each calendar quarter. Any fees, commissions, or taxes withheld or charged by the platform operator must be stated separately. In addition, the platform operators are obliged to regularly check the information collected for accuracy and plausibility. Platform operators must submit the first report on January 31st, 2024. Transactions that take place after January 1st, 2023 must be reported. Platform operators should therefore deal with the new regulations immediately. Processes must be implemented in order to be able to collect, verify, and archive the reportable data in a legally compliant manner from January 1st, 2023. Data protection is a particular challenge here.
Spain is on its way to implementing countrywide e-invoicing. On 8th of July 2022, the Spanish government published new proposals to the Ley Crea y Crece draft law and provided more details on the new e-invoicing law that will affect private entities in Spain. Let me remind you, E-invoices represent a new unique system in relation to issuing and receiving electronic invoices. The new regulation covers all Spanish VAT payer companies and individuals in generating and receiving electronic invoices. The obligation will be compelling from July 2024 for large taxpayers with an annual turnover of more than 8 million, and the implementation of e-invoices will be continued until 2026. Electronic invoicing in Spain for the private sector, mandatory or not? According to the law for the creation and growth of companies, all entrepreneurs and professionals must issue, send, and receive electronic invoices in their business relationships with other entrepreneurs and professionals. Additionally, the recipient and the sender of electronic invoices must provide information on the status of the invoices. Also, the law establishes that companies supplying certain services to final consumers must issue and send electronic invoices in their relations with individuals who agree to receive them or who have explicitly requested them. This obligation affects companies supplying telecommunication services, financial services, water, gas, and electricity services, among other sectors. It's important to note that the Spanish government will develop additional regulations and determine the information and technical requirements to be included in the electronic invoice to verify the payment dates and obtain the payment periods.
As new business concepts continue to thrive in Metaverse and new virtual marketplaces keep appearing, tax legislation all over the globe is struggling to keep up with all these developments. The newest challenge that has arisen has to do with indirect taxes such as sales tax and VAT. Namely, undesirable consequences such as the accumulation of VAT have been observed in transactions between private users taking place on Metaverse-like platforms. Current EU VAT implementing regulation does, to an extent, apply to resales of digital goods where they've been sold to private users before and are then resold through a Metaverse marketplace. However, this legislation doesn't offer a solution for VAT accumulation that can happen in cases like the above mentioned. As there is an obvious legal gap in handling this matter, this represents a unique opportunity for businesses to work proactively with tax authorities on how to draft the most appropriate tax legislation for handling businesses in a Metaverse environment.
That will be all for today. Thank you for watching.
P.S. Don't miss to check out Fiscal portal. Bye!